On Space Station Delta 9, thousands of humans and aliens lived together in peace. It was one of the first stations built after Earth joined the Galactic Union. Life there was quiet, organized, and full of rules. Jake Wilson, a 24-year-old human engineer, had just finished his work shift. He was tired, dirty, and ready to sleep. He walked down the narrow hallway toward his room. As he reached his door, a red message flashed on the screen. Room reassignment. New roommate assigned. Jake sighed. Great, another roommate, he muttered. He walked inside and stopped. Someone was already there, sitting on the lower bunk. It wasn't a human. The figure looked up slowly. She had smooth, silver-blue skin and large, glowing eyes. Two small horns curled back from her head. Her body was thin, graceful. She blinked, then spoke in a calm, musical voice. You must be Jake. I am Reelan of the Drolari. Jake blinked. He had heard of the Drolari species before. Very smart. Very quiet. Mostly stayed to themselves. Yeah. Hi, he said. Nice to meet you. Reelan nodded politely. I will not disturb you. I require only half the storage space. I do not snore. I follow galactic code. Jake put down his bag and tried to smile. Sounds good. To me. For the next few days, everything was normal. Reelan was quiet and clean. She didn't talk much, but when she did, her words were soft and respectful. Jake didn't mind sharing the room. She kept to her corner, and he kept to his. But then, things started to feel strange. First, Jake noticed the lights in the room flickering slightly, even though there was no power issue. Then Reelan began acting differently. She started watching him more closely. Her eyes would follow him when he moved around the room. She seemed tense, like something was bothering her. One evening, Jake returned from his shift to find Reelan standing near the window, staring out at the stars. Her skin was glowing softly, a pale blue light pulsing from her neck to her hands. Jake tilted his head. Hey, are you okay? Reelan turned slowly. Her voice was quiet. It has started. What has? The season. Jake frowned. Season? What season? She didn't answer. She just went back to staring out the window. The next morning, as Jake walked into the cafeteria, he noticed some people whispering. A few engineers looked at him, then quickly looked away. One alien laughed quietly behind its hand. He sat down next to his friend Marcus. What's going on? Jake asked. Marcus leaned closer. You don't know, do you? Know what? You got assigned a Drolari roommate during mating season. Jake blinked. What? Marcus whispered. Every solar year, the Drolari go through a special cycle. Their bodies change. Their instincts change. It's like their version of heat. Normally, they isolate themselves during that time. But you're stuck in a room with one. Jake laughed nervously. You're joking. I wish I was. Later that day, Jake walked back to his room feeling strange. His hands were sweaty, and his heart beat faster. Maybe Marcus was just messing with him. But when he reached the door, a loud voice echoed through the hallway. Station lockdown in effect. Please remain in your rooms for 72 hours. Doors are sealed. Jake froze. He tapped the panel. It lit up red. The door wouldn't open. He was now locked inside. With Reelan, he turned slowly. She was standing in the middle of the room. Her skin was glowing brighter now. Her breathing was slower, deeper. The air felt warmer. Reelan looked at Jake. Her voice was different, softer, almost emotional. Jake, I think we have a problem. Jake took a step back. His mind raced. What kind of problem? She didn't answer right away. She simply looked at him, her eyes filled with something he couldn't name. Not danger, not anger, but something close to hunger or longing. Jake's mouth felt dry. He was locked in. No way out. 3 days. 1 room. 1 human. 1 alien. And it was mating season. Asterisk, the small room felt even smaller now. The lights above flickered again, as if the station itself was nervous. Ree-Lin stepped forward slowly. Her glow had changed from soft blue to a warmer shade, like a pale purple sunset. Her movements were calm, almost slow, but there was something behind her eyes. Something primal. Jake backed toward the corner of the room. "Okay," he said carefully, raising his hands. "Let's just stay calm." "I am calm," Ree-Lin said, but her voice trembled. Jake didn't know what to say. He had faced broken engines, power failures, even a fire once on Deck C. But this was completely new. "You said we have a problem," he said, trying to keep his voice steady. "What kind of problem?" Ree-Lin sat down cross-legged on the floor and closed her eyes. "The Dralari mating cycle is not like yours. It is not just physical, it is mental, emotional, dangerous." "Dangerous?" She nodded slowly. "Our instincts grow stronger. We begin to connect, to choose a match. If we are near someone too long during this cycle, the bond begins. And once the bond forms ... Jake blinked. "You're saying you're bonding with me?" "I don't want to," she said quietly. "But the process has started. The lockdown has trapped us together at the worst time." He sat on the edge of his bunk. "Well, can't we just stay on opposite sides of the room?" Ree-Lin looked at him, sadness in her eyes. "That will not stop it. The Dralari bond is not made by touch. It's made by presence. Sight, scent, sound." Jake looked away. He could feel her watching him. His hands were shaking slightly, and he tried to hide it. "Has this ever happened before?" he asked. "Once," she said, "on a mining colony. A Dralari female was trapped with a human. The bond formed. She lost control." "What happened to the human?" Ree-Lin didn't answer. Jake's heart skipped a beat. He stood up and walked to the wall, tapping the panel again. "Override door lock. Emergency request. Error. Lockdown protocol active. No override available." He turned around. Ree-Lin was still on the floor. But she looked different now. Her eyes glowed brighter, and her breathing had changed again. "I will try to meditate," she said. "I must keep control." "Good," Jake said. "That's good. I'll just keep to my side." Hours passed. Jake sat on his bunk, pretending to read a manual on fusion coils, but he couldn't focus. The room felt heavy. The silence between them was loud. Sometimes he glanced at her. She hadn't moved, but when she finally opened her eyes, Jake noticed something strange. The color of the light on her skin had changed again. It now shimmered between violet and gold. It was beautiful, unnatural. She stood up slowly. "Jake," she whispered, "do you feel anything?" He shook his head. "No. Should I?" She walked to the window and placed her hand on the glass. "If the bond begins to form from both sides, it becomes permanent." Jake looked at her. "You mean we'd be connected forever?" "In mind, in feeling. You would feel what I feel. I would feel what you feel. We would be ... one." He felt the air grow warmer again. "No offense," he said quickly, "but I don't think I'm ready to share my brain with someone I just met." She gave a soft smile. "Neither am I." A moment of silence passed. Then the lights went dark. Complete blackness. "System failure?" Jake asked. "No," Ree-Lin said. "It is me." "What?" "My energy, my body. It's changing faster than it should. The cycle is accelerating. Because of you." Jake swallowed. "That's not good, is it?" "No," she said quietly. "It means I am losing control faster." Suddenly, the emergency red lights kicked in, bathing the room in blood-colored glow. Reelin's skin shimmered like fire under it. Jake felt something stir in the air. A pressure, a heat, something unexplainable. And then? She stepped closer. "I need you to trust me," she said. Jake stood up, heart racing. "Why?" "Because I'm about to do something. That may save us both." He looked into her glowing eyes. Then the door screen lit up with a message. Heart. Rate spike detected. Human subject 14,592. Psychological stress warning. The system was watching them. Jake took a deep breath. "Okay," he said. "What do you need to do?" She stepped even closer. Her hand reached toward him. "To stop the bond," she said softly. "I must complete it, and then break it." Jake's eyes widened. "That doesn't sound safe." "It's not," she said. "But it's the only way." Jake stared at Reelin's glowing hand. It was just a few inches away from his chest. Her skin shimmered like fireflies under red emergency lights. "You want to complete the bond?" Jake said slowly. Reelin nodded. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were full of emotion. "If I finish the bond willingly, I can then break it by force. It will hurt, but it may stop my body from going too far. It's the only known way to reset the cycle." Jake felt his chest tighten. "And if it doesn't work?" Reelin looked down. "Then I lose control. And you." She didn't finish the sentence. Jake looked at the sealed door. Still locked. Still no escape. "Okay," he said finally. "Tell me what to do." Reelin moved closer. Her hand gently touched the center of his chest. It wasn't cold. It was warm like soft heat spreading through his skin. Jake felt something strange in his head, like a soft echo inside his thoughts. "Don't speak," Reelin said softly. "Just feel." Suddenly, Jake felt her presence, not just in front of him, but inside him. A calm sadness. A lonely voice. An ancient feeling. It wasn't words, it was emotion, shared across a silent link. Fear, respect, pain, hope. He felt her memories, like shadows, a long journey across space. Isolation. Her people calling her too weak. A desire to be more than her instincts. Jake closed his eyes. He let the bond settle and dash, just as the warmth became peace. Reelin pulled away sharply and screamed. A wave of energy blasted across the room, shorting out the lights again. Sparks flew from the ceiling. The walls vibrate. Jake was thrown backward into his bed. He sat up, coughing. "Reelin!" He shouted. She was lying on the floor, shaking. Her skin dimmed, the glow fading quickly. He ran to her and held her shoulders. "Hey!" "Stay with me. Talk to me." Her voice was weak. "The bond is broken." Jake helped her sit up. Her breath was unsteady, her eyes heavy. "I saw things," he said quietly. "Feelings, your memories." She nodded, her head resting against the wall. "That is the price. To create the bond, you must share your soul." Jake looked at her differently now. She wasn't just an alien. She was a person, a deep one. She had fought her own instincts just to protect him. Did it work? He asked. Reelin looked at her hands. They no longer glowed. Her voice was steadier now. "I believe so. I feel clearer." Jake sighed in relief. Then the room lights flickered back to normal. The red lights shut off. A calm female voice spoke from the ceiling. "Lockdown lifted. All rooms are now open." Jake stood up slowly. The door unsealed with a soft hiss. Looked at Reelin. "You're free to go," he said. She didn't move. "I could leave," she said softly. "But the bond, even broken, leaves something behind. A memory. A connection." Jake nodded. "I can still feel you. A little." "Yes," she said. And you saw who I really am. Not many ever do. Jake hesitated. Will your people be okay with this? With what happened? Reelin stood up. Her posture was strong again, her eyes steady. They won't know. And I won't tell them. Jake smiled slightly. So, what now? Do we pretend it didn't happen? No, she sighed. We remember, quietly, respectfully, but we move forward. They stood there in silence for a few seconds. Then Reelin walked to the door. Before stepping out, she turned to him. You were brave, Jake Wilson. You felt the bond, but did not let it control you. That is rare. He nodded. And you fought it to protect someone you barely knew. That's rarer. She gave him a small smile. Until next cycle. Jake laughed. Let's hope I have a new roommate by then. She walked out, and Jake stood in the empty room, feeling both lighter and heavier at the same time. Something had changed, and he knew deep inside this was not the end. Asterisk, the door was open now. The red lights were gone. Everything looked normal again, but nothing felt the same. The bond was broken. That's what Reelin said. But something inside, Jake didn't believe it. He could still feel her. Not strongly. Not with words or pictures, but like a whisper in the back of his mind. A warm shadow that followed him, even in silence. Was it his imagination? Or had something permanent been left behind? He touched his chest, where Reelin had placed her hand. The skin still tingled sometimes. A knock on the door pulled him out of his thoughts. It was Marcus. Dude, Marcus said, stepping in. Are you okay? Jake gave a tired smile. I think so. Marcus looked around. I heard the lockdown ended just a few hours ago. You've been locked in here with her the whole time, right? Jake nodded slowly. So? What happened? Jake opened his mouth, then closed it. What could he say? She went through something? Dangerous, but it's over now. Marcus raised an eyebrow. You didn't, you know. Jake shook his head. No, we didn't. But something happened. Something hard to explain. Marcus sat down on the edge of the bed. Everyone on the station is talking about it. Some people said they felt a weird wave of energy from your room. A few aliens even passed out during the lockdown. One Drillari guard collapsed near the medbay. Jake's eyes widened. Wait, what? Yeah, Marcus said. People think it was some kind of psychic shock. The med team's running tests. Jake remembered the explosion of energy when Reelin broke the bond. Could it have affected others? He stood up. I need to talk to Reelin. Marcus raised a hand. I wouldn't. She left. Jake froze. What? An hour after the lockdown ended. She was given medical leave. She boarded a shuttle heading to a Drillari cruiser. No one's sure why. Jake felt something tighten in his chest. She didn't say goodbye. No, Marcus said. She just walked out, quiet, like always. Jake looked out the window. The stars were calm, silent, watching. That night, he couldn't sleep. He kept tossing and turning. His head hurt. Not like a normal headache, it was deeper, behind the eyes, in his thoughts. At one point, he sat up suddenly, sure that someone had just whispered his name. But no one was there. He drank some water. He took a breath, and then he felt it. A pulse, not from his heart, from somewhere else. A strange pressure in his mind. Not painful, just heavy. Then he heard it. A voice. Quiet, not human. Jake, I am sorry. His eyes widened. He looked around the room. No one was there. The lights were dim. I tried to break the bond completely. But something still remains. It is not dangerous, but it is real. Jake stood up, confused. Reelin? No answer. The voice was gone. Just like a dream. The next morning, Jake reported the psychic signal to the med station. They scanned him. His body was healthy. No damage. But the results showed something strange. Foreign neural pattern detected. Non-human trace signature. Mild but active. Jake sat in silence as the doctor showed him the scan. You're saying I have alien brain waves? They? Doctor nodded. They're not harming you, but they're there. Jake left the med bay feeling both worried and curious. He was no longer just a human. Part of something alien now lived in his mind. And somewhere out there, Lin still felt it too. Asterisk? Jake tried to return to normal life on the space station, but nothing felt normal anymore. Every now and then, he still felt Reelin's voice in his mind. Soft, distant, like a memory that refused to fade, but he didn't hear from her again until the message came. Attention, human subject Jake Wilson. You are requested to appear before the Drolari High Council aboard the cruiser. Near us all. Immediate transport has been arranged. Delay is not permitted. Jake stared at the screen in silence. He didn't ask for this. He didn't want this. But deep down, he knew it was coming. An hour later, he stood inside a Drolari shuttle. The ship was silent, cold, designed for order, not comfort. He was the only human on board. A soft voice echoed in the cabin. Please remain seated. The council awaits. Jake looked out the small window. The stars were moving. Far in the distance, the Drolari cruiser waited like a silver serpent floating in space. The journey took less than an hour. When he stepped onto the Drolari ship, the air felt different, thicker, heavy with meaning. He was led down a glowing hallway by two tall Drolari guards. They didn't speak. At the end of the hall was a large circular chamber with crystal walls and pulsing lights in the floor. 5 tall figures stood in the center, the High Council. And next to them stood Reelin. She looked different. Her glow was gone. Her expression calm, serious, unreadable. Jake's heart skipped. One of the council members stepped forward. His voice echoed with power. You are Jake Wilson of Earth? Yes, Jake said. You were bonded with Lin during the cycle. Unplanned, uncontrolled. You claim the bond was broken. Jake nodded. That's what she told me. The council member looked at Reelin. Speak, daughter. Jake blinked. Daughter? Reelin lowered her head. I followed protocol. I attempted the reset ritual. The bond was shattered, but something survived. A faint echo. Another elder stepped forward. Her voice was colder. That echo is dangerous. Our people have laws. We do not share bonds with humans. It opens a door that should remain closed. Jake stepped forward, confused. What door? The door to something ancient, the elder said. A connection between our minds and yours. We ended such experiments generations ago. Jake frowned. So, this has happened before? The room fell quiet. Then Reelin spoke. It happened. A long time ago. A Drolari warrior and a human pilot. Their bond grew stronger than expected. They could hear each other's thoughts, feel each other's emotions across light years. Jake stared at her. What happened to them? They went mad, one of the counselors said. Their bond consumed them. They lost their identities, became something else, something combined. Jake's blood turned cold. We are not here to punish you, the lead elder said, but the bond must end, fully. No echo, no trace. Jake swallowed. How? The elder looked at Reelin. She must enter your mind again, not to bond, but to erase. If she fails, both of you will lose yourselves. Jake looked at Reelin. She didn't flinch. I accept the risk, she said. Jake nodded slowly. So do I. The elders raised their hands. The room glowed brighter. A platform rose in the center. Reelin stepped onto it. Jake followed. They sat cross-legged, facing each other. Are you ready? Reelin asked. No, Jake said honestly, but let's do it anyway. She placed her fingers on his temples. Jake felt the warmth again, but this time it was different. Not soft, not peaceful. It was fire. Suddenly, Jake was no longer in the chamber. He was in her mind. Images flashed. A drollery war. Screams. Fire. Children hidden underground. Reelin alone in the dark. Then more Jake's memories. His father's death. His first ship. The crash that almost killed him. His fear of silence. Everything was open. Shared. Pure. Then came the pain. A sharp tearing. Like two puzzle pieces. Being pulled apart after they had already fused. Jake screamed. So did Reelin. And then, silence. Nothing. He opened his eyes slowly. He was back in the chamber. Reelin was on the floor, breathing hard. Her skin dim. Jake reached out. Are you okay? She nodded weakly. The bond is gone. He felt nothing now. No voice. No glow. Just emptiness. The council nodded in approval. The danger is past, they said. You are free to go. Jake stood. But Reelin didn't. I will stay, she said softly. There is more I must learn. About myself. About the risk. Jake looked at her. He wanted to say something, but there were no words. So he just nodded. Then turned and walked out. But even as he stepped back onto the shuttle, a strange thought flickered in his mind. This is not the end. Jake sat alone in the observation deck of Space Station Delta 9. He looked out at the stars, but his mind wasn't there. It had been 2 weeks since the council broke the bond. He had returned to his job. Fixed power systems. Helped build cargo drones. Ate with the other engineers. Everything looked the same, but nothing felt the same. The silence inside his mind was deeper now. Before Reelin, silence had been peaceful. Now, it felt like something was missing. One night, while running diagnostics on a broken comms relay, Jake saw a message in the system logs. It was short. Hidden between maintenance codes. Just 3 words. Still feel you. Jake stared at the screen. His hands shook slightly. He checked the message ID. It came from a long-range channel, used only by Drolari ships. No sender listed. He leaned back in his chair. It was impossible. The bond had been erased. The council confirmed it. The scan showed no trace. But deep in his chest, Jake knew something had survived. The next day, strange things started happening. He dreamed of colors he had never seen before. He woke up one morning with a word in his head, a Drolari word. Aintu, word he had never heard. Sailtare. He asked a translator bot what it meant. The machine paused, then answered. Soul twin, a rare Drolari belief. A bond formed not by biology, but destiny. Jake's breath caught in his throat. Was it just coincidence? Or had Reelin felt it too? Later that week, a Drolari envoy arrived at the station. They brought scientific equipment, new tech, and one strange artifact, a glowing sphere made of crystal and light. Jake was helping unload supplies when one of the Drolari researchers stopped and stared at him. You are Jake Wilson? The alien asked. Yes, Jake said carefully. The researcher bowed slightly. And I believe this belongs to you. He handed Jake the sphere. It was warm. Very warm. As soon as Jake touched it, his vision flashed. A quick burst. A memory. Reelin, alone on the Drolari cruiser, placing her hand on the sphere, whispering softly, This is my truth. He must know. Then the vision faded. Jake clutched the sphere tightly. Something had changed. That night, Jake activated the sphere in his room. It glowed, then projected an image into the air, a glowing Silhouette of Reelin, calm and still. She began to speak. Her voice was soft. Jake, I know the council erased the bond. I know you feel empty now. I do too. But something is still there. Not the connection we had before. Something older, deeper. They call it Echo Bond. A bond that cannot be broken because it was never truly made. It lives outside rules, outside science. It is rare. Maybe only a myth. But I believe it's real, because when I close my eyes, I still feel you. Jake sat frozen, the sphere glowing in his hands. I am not asking you to come find me. Not now. Not yet. But if one day you feel lost, if one day you hear a voice that sounds like mine, follow it. The image flickered. Because I will be waiting. The message ended. The room went dark again. Jake sat in silence. And for the first time since the council erased the bond. He smiled. Months passed. Jake returned to work. He grew stronger, wiser. People noticed something different about him. Calm. A depth in his eyes. And every now and then, during quiet nights, he would hear it. A whisper. Not a voice exactly. Just a feeling. A presence. Not loud. Not clear, but real. And echo. Of a bond that never truly died. Asterisk.